But I want to kind of dive into something or a couple things that I thought were really important that we could take away from today that I think the Thunder are going to continue to build on. And I think we will see continued throughout the playoffs. And the first one was Chet Holmgren. I feel like we got to give him his props because I think one of the call outs going into this playoffs for this year was we want to see the defensive Chet that we have saw all year long continue to take that step, take that leap into this year's playoffs. And today he did that. He had 2 steals, he had 2 blocks, and it felt like his presence was there all game long. So, really like to see what we saw from Chet there, even on the offensive side of the ball. But then Jada, like that was really a really big question mark for me coming into the game. Obviously, coming off the wrist injury early in the season and then having the hamstring injury, just kind of felt like, what are we going to get from him? Can he actually be the third or the second scorer for Oklahoma City this entire playoff? But he looked really good. I didn't feel like we saw a drop off in his game at all. I felt like he was able to pick it up and maybe even improve a little bit. So looking at those 2 guys specifically, really love what we got out of them, and especially from Chet on the defensive side. What were your guys' thoughts there?
Chet really did try to come in here and show that he should be in consideration for Defensive Player of the Year. Unfortunately, he lasted 25 minutes, so you didn't really get to see him get the full effects of what he wanted to achieve. But at the same time, you don't need him to play more than 25 minutes. Then who's complaining, right? Like this team's going to be one of the more well-rested teams in the NBA, and I think that that's one very underrated thing that a lot of people are overlooking about this team. I mean, like you said, Dub's been out most of the season from the surgery on his wrist to the hamstring. He's lost most of the season. He's now ramping back up, and he looks good. Looks like his old self. 22 on 9 of 15. Pretty solid shooting. That's all you needed from him, is to heavily contribute in this game. And so I kind of can see him turning it up even more as the series progresses. I guess the big question is, how many minutes are these dudes really going to play? Like, it's no shade against the Suns, but a whole bunch of shade. They're not built to beat this team, period. So I like what he contributed, and I expect it to be about the same. I expect him to play less than 30 every game through this series. At least that's the hope. That way you really are preparing yourself for that Lakers or Rockets matchup.
I think that a big thing that you see with SGA and Mark Dagnall trying to do with Chet is get him super involved right from the get-go. He comes in, he knocks down a 3. When that happens pretty early, when you get a fully engaged Chet early in the game, that's where you see him really, try to assert his dominance a little bit more. There's certain guys in the league, and PG, you and I have talked about this offline, that, with Joker and with Wemby, there's certain guys that he has some issues with, some struggles with. Mark Williams being out for the Suns, that was a huge deal. So you throw in, I always forget the guy's name. Iguodaro. Yeah, you throw in him. That's a second year player. Much younger. So you saw Chet with the 3. You saw him with the cleanups. I think the one where Caruso, kind of threw it up and it bounced off, or maybe it's Jada. But regardless, Chet, grabs it, and slams it down. He gets another quick and easy, dunk. So at that point, Chet now has some momentum. He got some free throws early also. And then at that point, it kind of frees him up to go out and be Chet, to get back over there, and the help side defense. You're causing so much havoc. Like, one of the things that really Chet benefits from by the defensive pressure that the Thunder throw, whether it's the front court or the back court, is if you can make it close to the rim, sometimes you're just like, oh my God, I made it through. And here you are going up to the sky. And then all of a sudden, here comes Chet swinging those big long arms and just cleaning you out. I think Booker had one where he was trying to call goaltending, but I mean, nobody even saw where Chet came from, and he just put it out. So you need this Chet. So it's getting him involved early, giving him a chance to see some success. I think the free throw line's big and important to him too. What I still don't like about Chet, it still is only going to be that when he does get in that flow, sometimes he gets a little too carried away. So he'll dribble wildly into the paint and then try some chase shots. and those don't really go over very well. So as long as he can, get, maybe it's like speaking on both sides of my mouth here, but go get yourself some stuff early, but then still stay within who you are. Don't try to get too crazy. Don't put the ball on the deck from the 3-point line into 3 different guys, pivot, spin, shuffle, and, go for a fadeaway. Like, that's not his game. It's getting in there and being able to do some cleanup, because when it's just Chet on the floor as far as the big man, he slides over to the 5. Sometimes he gets a little too carried away being outside on the perimeter, and there's like nobody there to rebound. And so you've got a bunch of the guards trying to out jump forwards and power forwards to, try to get rebounds. And that's, the only times that the Suns really made runs is when, Chet's way out on the outside, hoping that he'll get the 3 swung over his way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I saw this interesting stat on Twitter earlier from ESPN Insights, but it talked about this Chet kind of everywhere motion, which is no one contested more shots in last year's playoffs than Chet Holmgren. 24 minutes into this postseason, the Suns went 2 of 9 and 0 from 5 from 3. Like, Chet in the first half was just being able to contest everything. And if you can get that kind of Chet Holmgren all playoffs long, it's going to be hard for a lot of teams to be able to beat you.
And that's the one you want, is that particular one. And like you say, if you can get that, it's going to make it very challenging for everybody else when it comes to playing as they go deeper and deeper into the playoffs. And I kind of expect it. I mean, Chet, this is the first year Chet's been healthy, right? Like last year, the one thing that I noticed a lot of people were complaining about was his shooting motion and the way he was, how he looked very flat. And I realized that majority of fans forgot that the dude messed up his hip. Yeah. So he was trying to get back into his older form. Well, now you're seeing the arch in his shot. You're starting to see the flow on his stroke. It's looking like the old form that you had before. And that's mainly because he's not recovering or rehabbing a hip. So we're getting that version of Chet. And I expect Chet to actually put up numbers that J-Dub did last year. I think at some point you're going to get some 40-pointers. I think you're going to get some 45ers, some double-doubles. You might even get a triple-double where he goes out there and blocks 10 shots. Like, all of those are on the table this year for him because he's actually healthier than he was, I mean, honestly, the last 2 years. So you're going to be able to get the full Chet experience that you were hoping to get out of the number 2 pick.